Boredar or Pronoundar every pony. This is BronyDan. It's not original, but hey, you try coming up with reality these days. Now, obviously, at the end of my last review, I gave a little bit of a hint to what I thought was the worst movie that Ringo Starr had appeared in. Well, naturally, it would have to be a movie that was created by a man with an ego the size of a truck. No, I mean someone who has an ego the size of a truck, but frankly has every right to that ego. Oh, for God's sake, it's Paul McCartney! Look, this is not an attack. I love Paul McCartney. I do think he's one of the greatest musicians ever, and I admire how passionate he is for his music and projects. It's just that that passion doesn't transfer to everyone else who works with him, making it seem like he's the only important person in the group. A good example of this is Give My Regards to Broad Street.
I can wait another day.
You could call this movie Moonwalker before Moonwalker, in the same sense that this shows that Paul McCartney cannot write a coherent plot unless it's in music form. This was Paul's attempt in the 80s to try and get into the movie industry by being a writer. Because, you know, the last film projects you oversaw were such a success. So prepare yourself for some ass-numbing boredom with Give My Regards to Broad Street. So we open up with Paul McCartney stuck in a traffic jam, not all great epics, on his way to a meeting.
Anyway, this should help you take your mind off the gloom. Remember the summer of '66.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Paul has very fond memories of the summer of 1966. I believe that was the summer our lives were at stake. What with Japan, the Philippines, and John pretty much offending the entire American population. But then Paul starts to daydream of owning his own life-size Hot Wheels car. Why would he fantasize about that? He's Paul McCartney. He could probably afford 5 of those. 10 now. But then he gets a call on the Batman phone to be told by his manager, I guess, Steve, to say that someone called Harry and the tapes are missing. Oh no, not the tapes! Wait, what tapes are we talking about here? So Paul races the car to get to the building, to get to the meeting.
You are aware, of course, that he has a criminal record, which includes burglary and petty larceny?
Yep, we know.
I understand the tapes entrusted to Mr. Torrington's care are extremely valuable.
Based on last year's figures, at today's prices, I'd say about £5 or £6 million.
They're the equivalent of... They're the be-all and end-all. If they're lost, all is lost.
What sort of company places all its financial futures on one project? If we're going by that logic, then Disney would have been extinct thanks to the Black Cauldron. So Paul is told that unless the tapes are found by midnight tonight, then the company falls into the hands of this guy, Mr. Rath of Rathbone Industries. This guy does absolutely nothing in this film that could make him a potential threat. He just sits there in all black just so we can tell that he's the bad guy. So with this news over his head, Paul heads off to a recording studio to meet... Whoa! Okay, Ringo looks a little out of place with a massive set like that.
Listen, have you heard the news?
What news?
You know, about the tapes?
What about the tapes?
Well, Harry, you know, is supposed to be taking them down the factory. He's gone missing.
Missing?
Yeah, and the tapes too.
Harry and the tapes are missing. You know, I don't fancy recording them again.
It's been 15 years, Paul. I am not doing another version of Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Also, hi, George Martin. Rest in peace, you magnificent bastard.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
Now, this is the movie's biggest strength and its biggest weakness. The songs that are used in this movie are good. There's no denying it. They're all chosen McCartney songs, and the movie does do good renditions of each of them. The bad side to this is that the songs completely overshadow the actual plot of the movie. I am not exaggerating when I say that this movie is 20% plot and 80% promotional videos. So after about 7 minutes of just Paul singing, he heads off to a television studio.
Yeah, well, that's really going to help, isn't it? You lose your grip, I'll whip myself up into a frenzy, and we can all go and throw tantrums at each other.
Well, it's not my fault. I didn't hire him.
I love it. Come on, let's spit it out, shall we? It's all my fault. Bad judgment.
Well, you hired an ex-convict and left him in the possession of a priceless piece of material. Of course people are gonna say it was a stupid idea. That'd be like me saying I want to start my own Shakespearean theatre company, but I'm gonna be having Gilbert Godfrey be the leading man.
Alas, Paul Yorick, I knew thee well.
Hi, I don't believe we've been introduced.
It's me, Ringo, your wife.
Actually, I'm here to write an article.
Oh, yeah?
It's on the relative value of popular music as a therapeutic tool for social services.
I'm on drums.
You're on drums? Or you're on drugs? Either one is a possibility. So we get another 6 minutes of McCartney songs. I'm starting to think that Paul doesn't quite understand the concept of storytelling yet. If you want to have musical numbers in your movie, that's fine, and it'd be fine if it was just one, but the songs need to at least try and connect with what's happening in the story. I will admit that the choreography is well done, but it comes off more as distracting than enjoyable.
Lunch?
Aye! Okay, Paul, here's a bit of advice for you. You never dress up your wife to look like David Bowie without his Ziggy Stardust makeup. So after Paul meets up with a friend of Harry's, Stella, played by Tracy Ullman, we get... Oh, Jesus. We've barely had 4 minutes and already we have another barrage of McCartney songs. Sorry, Paul, but we gotta get back to the plot, what little there is, so, skipping. So they take Stella home and, wait, this alley looks familiar. That's the same alley from Resurrection of the Daleks. And both of these came out the exact same year. So, wait, are we saying that during the exact same moment that Paul was, looking for his tapes, we had the Doctor battling the Daleks in one of those warehouses in their time corridor? Well, at least now we can actually try and find these tapes and not... Oh, come on!
I laughed at the teachers taught in my school.
Paul, we already know you're a fantastic musician. Just stop wasting our time. I mean, this musical wankfest alone takes up 12 minutes. I am not even joking. And nothing about the actual plot has happened. It's like Paul doesn't even care that his music is missing. In fact, actually, I think he prefers it if they were never found. Yeah, we all know that Paul can be a little bit controlling and likes to get every detail right in his songs, so if the tapes go missing, it could be an excuse for him to do it all over again and improve on them. You diabolical genius. But I suppose Paul does try and stick to the plot, since we do get some little moments of him asking various people who know Harry where they think he might be. But those moments are few and far between, as it seems Paul is more content with trying to sell his music, even his own Beatles songs.
Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been.
Was Revolver just your chosen album for the week, Paul? I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Revolver is a fantastic album, but you've used like 4 of your songs from it already. Why not add a little bit of like Rubber Soul, just for a bit of variation? And then we get this scene. I have no idea what's going on here, but it looks cool. I will admit I'm a sucker for the Victorian period, so to have about 10 minutes of just Paul, Ringo and their wives dressed like that, without any dialogue or songs, just an original piece of music playing over it, it's a visual feast to say the least. I guess it's a representation of the growing frustration and tension in Paul's mind of not being able to find those tapes or Harry. But because this movie has paid so little attention to the plot, this moment feels more out of place than the actual songs do. So with mere hours left, Paul tries again to find Harry, calling upon Jim, played by Ralph Richardson. It's the same thing, he doesn't know where Harry is, and this scene adds nothing other than the fact that Ralph Richardson can still be poetic and was still with us. Right up until he died shortly after this film. Whoops. So Paul stops over at Broad Street and he finds the tapes and Harry locked in a cupboard because he thought it was a toilet. Oh, so this entire mystery of finding these missing tapes that control the future of your company and career has boiled down to that. No great twist or red herring that could have been used to say that Harry was framed. No. It's just that. That is what we're given. Well, I can safely say that I will give my regards to Broad Street because this movie is fucking dead on arrival! I don't care if Paul manages to get the tapes back, thus saving the company, because remember, all of this was a dream. It never happened. So, rightly so, we can say the same for this trash. How the hell can you screw up basic storytelling like this? A movie that doesn't even focus on its own plot, has characters that don't add anything, with performances as wooden as a park, with only the music being the only saving grace. Yes, the songs are good, but the movie should not just be to promote your own songs. It has to be balanced out as well with a coherent story. And because this movie spends so much time going, look at my music, isn't it fantastic? Then it just makes it seem like the songs themselves weren't that good to begin with. The only memorable thing about this movie is something that wasn't even in the movie, because apparently there was a short released before this movie, which was apparently Rupert and the Frog song, and I can guarantee you everybody enjoys those 30 minutes more than this 2-hour flick. Paul, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You're a great musician, you really are, but just for your own decency, stay the fuck away from films. Leave it to the professionals. Oh, well, this is BronyDan saying, no star. Oh, God.